Netflix, you, money, pocket. Go.
India is now using Facebook to catch traffic violators.
Yeah, it's interesting.
This is an interesting story because I think that it's Orwellian in nature. I think it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
What traffic authorities are doing in New Delhi is they've created a Facebook site and they are asking people to take photos of traffic violators so they can issue tickets.
Yeah.
Right? And the reason why they've resorted to this is because you have to keep in mind that there are 12 million people in New Delhi.
Right.
And there are only 5,000 traffic officers. So they need help.
Yeah.
And the roads are extremely unsafe.
Yeah, people like commit crazy violations, like they drive on the sidewalk, they run through red lights regularly.
Right. They run through pedestrian crossings as if they don't even exist.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unsafe, and obviously there needs to be some sort of solution. Do I think resorting to asking people to take pictures and asking people to turn others in, is that a good idea? I don't think it is at all.
Well,
Look, I think that people are going to try to get one another. First of all, if I were breaking some sort of law on the road and someone was trying to take my picture, things could get violent.
definitely.
And I think this is going to lead to much more violence, and I think it's going to lead to a lot.
Well, we don't know. It didn't say that, but that's an interesting point. It could. Yeah, I mean, you know, you're all responsible for what you do, and so if somebody takes your picture, it could get violent, but then, of course, you'd be responsible for that.
Right, I would be responsible, but that wouldn't stop. Like, if you're going to antagonize someone on the road, they're not going to think about it before they act.
That may be, and that's interesting. That would obviously, that would be, assuming that doesn't happen, though. Let's presume in a world where that doesn't happen. It's not quite, I don't see it as Orwellian. I hear what you're saying, but because, of course, the government's not doing it. It's people doing it. It's more sort of communism, the bad kind of communism. Well, it's all bad, doesn't work. But I mean the sort of, you know, check out you spy on your neighbors. But I mean, if it's really out of control, then, I mean, theoretically, even if it led to violence, we're presuming that maybe more people are getting hit on pedestrian. Well, first of all, that guy running across the street, there's no crosswalk there. What the hell is he doing? Take a picture of that guy.
That looks like such a disaster.
But, you know, the government's, it does look like a disaster. So, you know, it's worked a little bit, right? I mean, it's like...
Look, based on this article, and this is an article I read in the New York Times, response has been positive, right?
Well, first of all, if the New York Times, it's obviously true.
Right,
They would
of
never
course.
make a mistake.
But it seems like a very unbalanced article. Because you hear a little bit about the negatives, but for the most part, you get quotes from this one traffic official who says, everybody loves it, it's a great idea, we love it, we love it.
I can't believe you didn't do an Indian accent. I mean, if ever there was a time to do an Indian accent, it's actually a story about a guy who would have an Indian accent. I tell you what's wrong with the story. By the way, we've been looking at video of a random sort of intersection. I got it. So apparently there are cars there. For the love of God, stop showing it. I got it. Huh, fascinating. Bring that back up. No, that was really neat. See that other, yeah, check out, see that van? No, look, it's going to drive, and now it's out of frame. We don't know where it's going. It could be going anywhere. It could be going to South New Delhi, or it could be going to some other city of India, and I can't think of any other cities in India. Bangalore. Could be going to Bangalore. We don't know. Great mystery. What's not in the story, what's interesting is, they're like, it works, it's issued 665 tickets, but the only part where it would, I mean, I don't care about the tickets. It would only work if it cuts down on the crazy driving. That's the standard, not whether the New Delhi generates some revenue from tickets.
Right.
And they don't know the circumstances, so who knows whether the tickets are fair. The only positive effect would be if it cleaned up dangerous driving.
How do you watch movies through Netflix? Well, you...
Somebody go get a six-pack. I can't tell you how good that feels and how good that tastes.
think about it. Netflix.com/TYT.